My parents traumatized me and kicked me out. So when they asked me for $200,000, I said yes. When I was 13 years old, I started selling in school. In just the first week of my candy business, I'd almost made $500. I used the money to buy my parents a hotel spa retreat for two. Maybe they'd finally say, I love you, or I'm proud of you. Instead, my dad's hand violently met my face and told me to focus on my grades. Meanwhile, my mom just grabbed the gift certificate and looked at me like I was worthless. This is where I started believing that love should be earned, not given. I started placing my worth on the reactions my parents gave to pretty much everything I did, good or bad. So, as you can imagine, I've pretty much lived my entire life truly believing I was nothing, literally a waste of space, until a few months ago. It all started when I was 18, and my parents found me a pretty amazing job. But there was one catch. It was across the country, so I'd have to move out. I told them I'd sleep on it, and they responded with, this isn't a question, it's a demand. We're not putting up with you anymore. My heart felt so broken it started itching, but in my head, I was so disgusting and annoying that their behavior was my fault, not theirs. I left thinking that one day I would return and make them love me. But the only person I ended up proving wrong was myself, because I'm now 23, and in the last 5 years, I got promoted to a managerial position. But more importantly, I also found the love of my life, Charlotte. And she taught me I was someone who deserved love, deserved kindness, deserved to give myself a pat on the back. Plus, she was the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen, like a Disney princess. So proposing was practically a no-brainer. So fast forward to last October, when we were getting married. I didn't think my parents would want to come because they hadn't talked to me since I moved out. But turns out, they had one last trick up their sleeve. And that trick was a gift. After hearing my life update from a family member, they called me and said the words I'd been thirsting for my whole life. We're so proud to call you our son. So when they asked to attend the wedding, I was practically shouting the word, yes. I wish I knew that it was just their way of staying in control. Luckily, the wedding was a success. Me and my parents didn't really get to talk, but knowing they got to see me tie the knot made my heart feel full. And the next morning, after I woke up beside Charlotte in our hotel room, I saw an email notification. It was from my mom. I asked Charlotte if she wanted to read it together, thinking it would be an attempt at rebuilding our relationship. But my smile was soon replaced with disappointment because the email was a 4-page PDF attachment. You see, my mom had somehow gathered enough information to create a spreadsheet mapping out earnings from Charlotte's dad's company. And beneath it all, she left a note. Not a congratulations, not a please or thank you. Just a sentence expressing how they deserved 15% equity in the company as compensation for raising me. My mouth instantly filled with saliva and the room started spinning. The usual words started replaying in my head. I'm disgusting. I'm a waste of space. I'm nothing. But for the first time, I stopped them. Because as Charlotte filled with anger, so did I. Well, Charlotte's dad, Noah, was a family man, and he would have given them damn near 25% if they asked. So we took a deep breath and agreed to talk about it after eating breakfast, when our minds were clear. That evening, we made a decision. We emailed over a digital contract for them to sign to receive 6% equity. The email was meant to end there, but it didn't. I couldn't help myself. I reminded them how they used to wake me up by yelling at me. So in school, I'd get bullied for having a red and puffy face from crying all the time. How I used to wet the bed every night on purpose because I was too scared to go downstairs and use the bathroom. How I used to pay for my mom's monthly shopping sprees with money I earned from my 12th grade window cleaning business. I finished off the email by letting them know I was taking Charlotte's last name and letting the bloodline die with me. Blocking them on every potential method of communication was probably the most satisfying moment of my life, besides my wedding day. But if I'm being honest, I had a second, perhaps darker, ulterior motive. I wanted them to experience the pain I felt growing up. So when I was met with complete silence, my blood boiled. And just when Charlotte managed to calm me down a few days later, I got a notification that can only be likened to how the ground tremors before an earthquake breaks out. It was my uncle. This is how you repay your parents after everything. That's all I read before turning my phone off. And a few hours later, when I went back to WhatsApp to reply, I had over 99 missed calls and messages. Based on my reading of the threats and blackmail, it was obvious that none of them knew what really happened. But they were about to find out. I couldn't finish the full story in this short video. To watch the rest of the family confrontation, click the link below.